I've got the newest information on the tropical disturbance in the Eastern Caribbean and potential tropical development in the Gulf. Your forecast across the Caribbean and the Bahamas starts right now.
This is Meteo Mundo.
Hi friends, Rusty back here at Meteo Mundo. We're your home for Caribbean weather. Fantastic to see you for the latest video. Hope you're doing well. A lot to get into with this video. I mean, we have some very active weather for portions of our area. Showers and thunderstorms are disturbance with some high winds and a lot of rain in the Eastern Caribbean and some potential development in the Gulf. Let's get into it. Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. Hometown homeowners insurance attorney. Storm season. Storm comes into your area, causes any kind of damage to you or your property. They'll walk you through every step of the insurance claim process. They do offer free consultation and policy reviews. LeanOnTheLaw.com is the website. As always, want to hear from the Meteo Mundo weather community. You guys have been so awesome letting me know what's been happening in your area, what the weather has been like, sending me the pictures and videos. I really help appreciate to tell your weather story. Current surface analysis. We do have a broad area low pressure in the peninsula of Florida. We'll talk about that. We have several tropical waves to impact the area. First one is beginning to push into the Eastern Caribbean and the Lesser Antilles in general, has really freshened up the winds for today, has brought some locally heavy rainfall to portions of the islands, but we are starting to see the intertropical convergence zone, or the main development region of the Atlantic, get a little bit more active as the waves have come a little bit stronger here in the central Atlantic and even off of the west coast of Africa. We'll look more at that in the tropical outlook coming up. Let's get into what's been happening for today, though. The numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. Now, again, this used to be Invest 94L. It never fully developed into a coherent tropical system, but regardless, it has brought a widespread amount of tropical moisture and some very gusty winds, especially from the Montserrat area south, Guadeloupe, Dominica. Again, the numbers that you see are wind gusts in miles an hour. And in the afternoon hours, we've freshened up to 25, 30 mile an hour winds. We've had some locally heavy downpours from time to time as well, which has led to some flooding in some areas. If you live in some of these islands as we go through it, let me know in the comment section below if you've had or if you've seen some of that localized flooding. Martinique has had a couple of showers for today. We've had some healthy rain across St. Lucia and St. Vincent. These are areas, St. Vincent and St. Lucia, that I've been noting have had some, fairly persistent, heavier downpours and some thunderstorm activity. There have been some lightning strikes associated with this. Barbados at this point in time has also had some heavier showers. Bridgetown area saw a 36 mile an hour wind earlier. Barbados is under a flash flood warning. And that's going to take I want to take 1 second to talk about, when I talk about advisories, watches, or warnings for your area, I'm not issuing those myself. I'm just passing on official information. So it's your local governments, it's your local meteorological services that issue, advisories or flood watches or warnings or high surf and sea advisories, whatever it is. I'm just passing that along. Of course, I'm going to give you my interpretation with it, but when you note that there is a flash flood warning in effect for Barbados, that's not me issuing it. So I just want to be clear about that. That's why I always tell you guys to make sure you check in with your local government and officials for latest up-to-date information. But Barbados has had fairly widespread 2 to 3 inches of rain, 50 to 75 millimeters already. An additional couple of inches of rain is likely. Some spots could get over 5 inches of rain today, which would be about 125 millimeters. That's why we've had the flash flood warning. As I've noted, heavier rain over St. Vincent, portions of the Grenadines as well, especially the northern side of this, and St. Lucia, where we have our live camera. Live look outside the current St. Lucia. Again, I've had a couple of comments from folks who live on St. Lucia who have noted it's been a little bit wetter on the southern side of the island. Corinth is kind of in the upper third of the island along the west coast. It's absolutely gorgeous. Now, it's clear to see because this camera is looking back off to the south, the moisture-laden low-level clouds that are coming through. Breeze from time to time, but it doesn't look too bad right now in the Corinth area, and obviously some heavier downpours. That's going to continue to be the story here, through tonight and throughout the day for tomorrow as well. It'll begin to wind down on our Thursday, but it's still going to take some time as disorganized as the system is. We've had some heavier spotty showers for Trinidad and Tobago for today. Again, it's not as widespread when you get that far south, but a nice little thunderstorm over the Port of Spain area earlier. My friends in TNT, let me know how it's been happening there. This is, by the way, just to kind of tie this in, the visible satellite imagery. And you can see this very broad spin that's into place once this begins to loop back up. But there's more tropical moisture west of the Lesser Antilles Antilles we'll get into in a minute. Now, when you get north into the Montserrat area and north, we talked about this in yesterday's video. You're fighting more Saharan dust, the Saharan air layer that's coming into play. So we don't have the prominent downpours in this area, but we've still had spots of passing quick showers and some very gusty conditions. St. Martin, a 30-mile-an-hour wind for today. St. Bart's had a 36-mile-an-hour breeze. When I show you the water vapor imagery, you're going to see the red, drier air here, again, north into portions of the Virgin Islands and into Puerto Rico, where we have some heat advisories because of that dust layer that's really trapping in the low-level moisture. So it's very interesting. And again, we thought that there would be kind of a battleground here into the Leeward Islands for how much tropical moisture can fight some of that Saharan air to bring some locally heavy downpours. I can tell you this, the winds are very fresh across the Virgin Islands and Puerto Rico for today, but just the widespread heavier downpours, a little bit more limited across the area. This is what it looks like on the visible satellite imagery here. And again, you can see there's clearer skies, but still very gusty, low-level easterly breezes. Christiansted today, 32-mile-an-hour breeze. St. Thomas in at 32. Again, a fast-moving shower for Anegada, Rotown, Tortola, Yost Van Dyke. We've seen a couple of showers pop up over Puerto Rico as well. And look at these winds from San Juan to Ponce and Aguadilla. We've had winds of over 30 to 35 and nearly 40 miles an hour. What do you say we take a live look to the radar out of Puerto Rico? And again, it's scattered showers, a couple of rolling in right in towards the Fajardo area and the Ceiba area, Vieques and Culebra, so kind of the eastern sides of the islands. Then it picks up into interior locations. Look at all of the rain here that the radar site out of Puerto Rico can pick up, again, a little bit south of the island. I'll put that into motion for you guys here real quickly. Hopefully this will loop up. I want you to notice that it's mainly moving east to west. Probably not a lot of north lift to this, but there's an opportunity. Then we'll see more rain and storms developing over the Dominican Republic. So let's switch back over to our visible satellite imagery here and get rid of our satellite data, or excuse me, our radar data. I'm gonna bring on the infrared actually. Now you can see some of the showers and storms are trying to make a run into the Dominican Republic, where places like Santo Domingo and the Bani area on over towards La Romana and Punta Cana have had some healthy showers and storms from time to time. Samana Peninsula on over towards Puerto Plata with an opportunity. Eastern sides of Haiti, we'll see some showers and storms. Moisture-laden air is just coming in from the south, so we're going to get some heftier downpours from time to time. Again, a little bit more concentrated than what we're going to see in Puerto Rico, just kind of based on the wind direction more than anything else. Slide on over to Cuba, Jamaica, and the Cayman Islands. This is an area that has been very active for today. Once again, we're going to get into that disturbance in the Northeast Gulf coming up, but there's a lot of moisture-laden air that's kind of funneling down from this, and thunderstorms are prolific again this afternoon across a lot of Cuba. We're starting to see more showers and storms develop over the western side of Jamaica. And again, it's still going to be Hanover and Westmoreland parishes where their best opportunity. But these have been more prolific thunderstorms today. Look at all of the lightning. Boom. They are just flared up right now. Montego Bay, Cambridge, Sav-la-Mar, Negril, Lucy, heavy downpours, a lot of concentrated lightning right now over Montego Bay and Negril. A couple of scattered thunderstorms towards the Falmouth area. We had some gusty winds in Kingston earlier, 32-mile-an-hour breeze at this point in time. But again, still favoring some central inland hillier areas and then our western sides for the better chance for showers and storms. I'm not going to rule out a couple of showers and storms around Kingston, Portmore, and Spanish Town for today, but it's going to be much more limited than areas off to the west. We're trying to get some of this rain, and it's been able to do so back into the Cayman Islands. We've had some local downpours and some lightning strikes around Grand Cayman for today. It's been a little bit more spotty over Little Cayman and Cayman Brac. Let's swing on over to my friends in the Bahamas. Turks and Caicos have been relatively quiet for today. And again, if I zoom out, you're going to see a very broad spin basically located over north central Florida. We have this broad elongated mid-level low that is beginning to work its way into the Northeast Gulf. Now behind this, of course, you pick up southerly winds, and that's allowing the showers and storms to become a little bit healthier today in the central and the northwest and northern Bahamas. So from the Exuma area towards Cat Island, we've seen some good storms there, north of the Georgetown area, Arthurstown, right over Eleuthera and Governor's Harbor, Nassau, Andros has had nice lightning today, so very heavy downpours there, and beginning to lift north towards the Abacos, Grand Bahama, Bimini, and Walker's Key. But it's really been this part of the Bahamas with the best chance for storms for today. So what do you say we go back to our live cameras, a live look outside at a Long Island at this point in time, live here, not a thunderstorm there on the west side of the island in White House as we look back off towards the west. So again, kind of a murkier sky. We've had passing thunderstorms in the central Eleuthera area. This is Governor's Harbor, live here all this late Wednesday afternoon. Again, fresh breeze. You can see some of the billowing cumulonimbus clouds in the background with the passing showers and storms across portions of central and northern sides of the Bahamas. Thunderstorms are really beginning to break out in the peninsula of Florida, and down the road we could see this turn into a tropical system. Now look, there is just a 10% chance. It's not even an invest at this point in time. Let me reiterate that. It's just a 10% chance. Regardless, heavy rain is likely across the I-10 corridor of the northern Gulf Coast states of the United States. So from the Tallahassee area, Mobile, Biloxi, Mississippi, New Orleans, Lake Charles, on over towards Houston and Galveston, we could see some locally heavy, potentially flooding kinds of rains in the next couple days. We'll see how this plays out, but to wrap this up and to truly get a tropical system is likely not going to happen. Still, some of this moisture is beginning to break out again over Quintana Roo. Showers and thunderstorms are developing in the Cancun, Cozumel area and doing what they've done the last several days, and that's making a run inland off towards the west. Few thunderstorms near the Merida area. We'll try and get a couple towards Campeche as well. Starting to see a few develop here over coastal sections of Belize and Guatemala. This is the visible satellite imagery, but a little bit drier at this point in time. Same situation for Roatan, Utila, and Guanaja as well. Let me bring on the current temperatures for you guys here, because again, look, when it is not raining, temperatures are well into the upper 80s or lower 90s. San Ignacio in at 93, but in the last couple of frames, they picked up a couple lightning strikes there in interior sections of Belize. As you go farther off to the south, we have our monsoon trough still into play. Much more prolific rain for kind of the southeastern sides of Honduras, Nicaragua, on over towards Costa Rica and Panama, where again, we could see some heavier rainfall here. So from San Jose to Panama, look, there's just a lot of tropical moisture, guys, and that will continue to just provide widespread heavy downpours in the afternoon hours. It's been a lovely day for my friends in the ABC Islands. Those are your current temperatures, right around 90 degrees Fahrenheit or 32 degrees Celsius. You know, we've had a wind gust here from time to time, but nothing outrageous for today. And again, down the road, better rain chances. But for today, we'll enjoy a sun glisten late afternoon. Live look outside to Oranjestad. I love this camera because I love how it pans back and forth. You get a great idea of what's happening off the coastline of Oranjestad. Again, still a fresh breeze. It feels like every time we look at this camera in the late afternoon hours, there's a fresh breeze, and you can kind of see that ripples on the coastal waters there, but it's a gorgeous shot. Let's get into your forecast, friends. As we do so, thanks for taking a quick second and liking the video. Please join our great Meteo Mundo weather community by hitting that subscribe button right now. You want those notifications on. That's the bell sign symbol for you as well. Thanks for sharing this with your family and friends. Appreciate those who support the channel in other ways. The super thanks, the PayPal, the Venmo. Really appreciate that. It means a lot. And you can also become a member if you'd like as well. It's another way to show your support. Very simple, 99 cents a month. You're a supporter, custom badges and emojis during our live streams. Our new tier is called Team MMMM, easy for me to say. You get exclusive access to member shorts, meaning I grab my phone, I produce short videos in between these daily updates, my behind the scenes thoughts, maybe a little bit more elaborate look at some of the tropics, maybe just some of the things that I'll be looking into with some of these videos. Saharan dust layer, again, is going to continue to be a factor in the eastern and the central sides of the Caribbean. But I do want you to note, as I have looped this up basically over the next 6-7 days, how, you know, this next area, and it will get into Florida and the Bahamas, but it disperses a little bit quicker. And the next one that'll be coming in early next week is not nearly as concentrated. So, you know, is this the last big plume of dust? It's a big question, because when we start to get into early August, we start to see the wind shifting off the west coast of Africa, and these larger plumes that can traverse the entire Atlantic and into the Caribbean and the Western Atlantic and the Gulf really become fewer and farther between. But again, this next one will be able to get into places like Nassau and into Florida and through Jamaica and the northwest side of the Caribbean, but just probably not be as concentrated, but get a little bit more widespread haze than anything else. All right, so let's get into the forecast over the next 3 days. We'll go island by island and then deeper dive into the tropics and what I expect out of that. So I'm going to fire up our models, and I'm going to switch this back here. Just give me 1 second. I was We're going to do an extended outlook in a second here, and so I had it at a large time frame. But I just want to talk about the next 3 days. Obviously, we're going to focus to begin with here in the Eastern Caribbean. Here's the thing. Without this system having a true center of circulation and it becoming very elongated, much more like what we call a tropical wave or a trough, you're going to see fairly widespread rain. Now, again, it's fighting when you get into the Leeward Islands and the Virgin Islands and the Greater Antilles in general. It's fighting that Saharan air layer. So we're still going to have the concentration of heaviest rain Dominica South, but especially Martinique, St. Lucia, Barbados, St. Vincent, which has had some heavy rain today, portion of the Grenadines. And I do want to remember and highlight too, there are some areas for St. Vincent and the Grenadines that haven't even fully recovered from Hurricane Beryl last year. And so to have some heavier downpours, it can be an issue. I mean, obviously we need to fill the cisterns. We need to bring some rain to these areas, but I am still very mindful about some of the recovery efforts, even from last year with Hurricane Beryl in some of these areas. Trinidad and Tobago, we'll see some scattered showers. Nueva Esparta has a pretty good chance for some healthier downpours as well. Obviously, eventually all of this pushes off to the west, but through tomorrow, through Thursday, and at least through portions of Friday, our rain chances will remain elevated in these spots. They'll be more scattered in nature for Anguilla, St. Bart's, St. Kitts and Nevis, Saba, St. Eustatius, Montserrat, Antigua, and Barbuda. Again, still fighting that drier air. We could get small craft advisories or high surf advisories from time to time for portions of the Leeward Islands and the British Virgin Islands as well. We've seen some heat advisories for Puerto Rico. We've seen, again, some rip current statements and some small craft advisories as well, especially with these fresh winds that we've had. And again, rain chances will be muddied a bit by the Saharan air that'll be in place at least through early on Friday before it finally, gets out of the area here. But St. Croix, St. Thomas, and St. John and the San Juan area will be in store for scattered showers there. But then again, some heavier rainfall. Same situation for my friends in the DR and Haiti. Passing showers still going to favor the southern and the eastern coastline. So Santo Domingo, Punta Cana, Bajarona, maybe even the Lacaille area, the peninsula of Haiti, getting a little bit better chance for rain in the next couple of days. An area that will continue to have prolific showers and storms will be Cuba. Again, closer to where our tropical development area might be, but just pulling in south winds and an abundant amount of moisture there. I am still expecting us to be in the absolute definition of scattered storms in Jamaica. Now, it's great to hear that some of you that have been persistently dry in Jamaica have caught some showers and storms in the last day or two. That's great. Still central western sides of the islands with the best opportunity for showers and storms in the afternoon, but we could even have a few morning showers out east or the opportunity for an isolated shower or storm. St. Catherine, St. Mary, Kingston, St. Andrew, Portland, on over towards St. Thomas parishes. Not as high as areas west, but enough tropical moisture to give us a little bit of hope. Scattered showers will continue to be in store for portions of the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. Now look, eventually as this system pulls away, the rain gets tugged along with it. So we'll begin to dry out here, even in the northern and the northwest Bahamas, starting late Friday and into the weekend. It'll be a drier forecast overall, but still a couple of scattered showers in the forecast in the short term. Now, this is the GFS model associated with our area. It should have some pretty decent forward speed. It's not going to linger, as we get into probably Saturday. Whatever this is going to end up being will be into portions of Texas or Louisiana or maybe even northern Mexico. But it's such a sloppy system here on the GFS, and anything that I've seen has kept it very ill-defined. So I was slightly even surprised that the Hurricane Center put a 10% chance on this, but you can't rule it out. Remember, you get into the Northeast Gulf and it's kind of bathwater out there. Temperatures along the coastline are upper 80s for sea surface temperatures, so there's an opportunity there. Bermuda will have some decent rain chances for for tomorrow and today, really, and then begin to dry out a bit as we get into Friday and Saturday. Little system moving south of the area there. Here's an area where I expect rain chances to generally improve. Now, they're going to stay solid in Cancun and Cozumel and the Yucatan in general, but will improve for Belize and Guatemala and the Bay Islands and just all of Honduras. So expecting better rain chances, more widespread, heftier rain, and probably even a little bit more lightning to come along with the ride. So Belize City, Punta Gorda, San Pedro Sula, La Ceiba, Roatan, Guanaja, Utila. Rain chances will be kicked up a notch here as we get towards the latter part of the week. Same situation for most of the Central American coastline as well. Look, again, back down towards San Jose and Panama City, you're near that monsoon trough this time of the year, and it just activates persistent low. And again, down the road, we'll probably see a little bit more activity developing here in the Eastern Pacific. More than likely, they're going to have the better opportunity for a named storm than we will as we get over the next, let's say, 5 to 7 days. This is what it looks like island by island, my friends. Northwest Bahamas, again, tailing off rain chances, turning relatively dry over the weekend, and it'll dry out even a little bit quicker in the central and southeast Bahamas. Scattered rain at best from our friends in Grand Turk and the Caicos. Cuba's rain chances remain exceptionally high, relatively speaking, locally heavy downpours from time to time as well. Cayman Islands' best rain chances come on Friday, but each and every afternoon, if you live in the Cayman Islands, I look to the north and see if some of those thunderstorms off the southern coastline of Cuba are trying to make a run into your area, because it's a possibility. Belize City's, again, rain chances will improve Friday and stay decent on Saturday. Cancun and Cozumel's rain chances highest on Friday as well. Still have that 40% chance at Jamaica. You would favor the western sides of the islands. Again, once we get rid of the Saharan air in the Dominican Republic and Puerto Rico, we'll see thunderstorm chances increase. Now, we could still get even a little bit better chance for storms like tonight and Thursday night before more afternoon storms Friday and Saturday, but the daylight hours could be a little bit drier, which means it's going to be a little bit hotter. So, heat advisories could still be back into effect the next day or two. U.S. and British Virgin Islands rain chances stay relatively elevated. Bermuda's rain chances, again, are highest through tomorrow. Anguilla, St. Kitts and Nevis, decent rain chances tomorrow, and then lull a little bit, but nothing outrageously drier. Again, there's just a little bit more dry air in play. But when you're talking about 40, 50, and even a 60% chance for rain, that is still decent rain chances over the next 3 days, just not in the way of not a lot of excessive rainfall is likely out of these spots. Guadalupe and Dominica stay with good rain chances. Then you get south again, Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Still very healthy chances tomorrow. Probably winding down a little bit in the afternoon hours, so more rain in the morning than anything else, but still some scattered heavier downpours in the afternoon. And then we do begin to dry out Friday and Saturday. But guess what? Late Saturday, beginning early on Sunday, there is yet another tropical wave that is expected to come through. That one has no signs of any development at this point in time. So Barbados rain chances remain elevated through around lunchtime tomorrow, and then tail off Friday and Saturday, probably back up a notch as we get into Sunday. Again, Grenada, really good rain chances for tomorrow. T&T look pretty good over the next 3 days. Suriname and Guyana stay with fairly wet conditions. My friends in Nueva Esparta, 50% chance of rain tomorrow, and then a little bit drier Friday and Saturday, and we'll kind of reverse that trend for the ABC Islands, where I do expect better rain chances there as we get into Friday and Saturday. So, kicking up again, you can see the fresh winds coming into the Lesser Antilles. Some green on the map there. That's 8-9 feet. That's 2 to 3 meters, in some areas that'll, again, lead to some, high sea advisories from time to time. Again, I don't issue those. I just pass them along. But could we see the large wave and strong wind advisory come back for the southern coastline of Jamaica over the next day or two? That is a possibility. Now, European rainfall totals, again, are going to be impressive here in portions of Central America, portions of the Lesser Antilles, and the Northern Gulf as well. 2, 3, 4 inches of rain in the next several days, maybe even locally up to 5 to 6. Again, 100 to 150 millimeters is not out of the question. And again, the European model is right in lockstep with the GFS1, but to what's really happening outside right now, meaning that it's basically from Dominica, Guadalupe south with the heaviest rainfall here through the Lesser Antilles, and just that drier air keeps things a little bit drier farther north. But again, on this map, you see red, you're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain in a lot of locations. This is the GFS model. And again, with the GFS model on my weather computer, we can actually pinpoint, these areas. So not just looking at one little spot here. I just want to note that it does have some locally heavy rainfall near Trinidad, right? Whether it falls over the island or just offshore, but 2 to 5 inches, if you average that, let's say 3 to 4, is potentially in store for these areas over the next 3 to 4 days. Same situation with Barbados. And again, this does not count what has already fallen. And that's why there's that flash flood warning. And that's exactly what the Met Service there said. An additional 2 to 3 inches is possible. I've got 2.5 for you right there. St. Vincent and St. Lucia are other areas. I expect some heavier rain. The Grenadines will be included in that as well. There's Martinique, there's Dominica, and there's Guadalupe. And again, you get north of Guadalupe, and your rain totals just really kind of fall off a cliff because, when I showed you that water vapor imagery, all of that red, that's all drier air. So there's still going to be some passing showers, but the rain totals just aren't going to be nearly as significant as what we've seen. And again, here in Jamaica, we favor Montego Bay, Sav-la-Mar, maybe north of Mandeville. Someone who lived in Mandeville yesterday said, Rusty, I got no rain. I understand there's some showers and storms around, but it's a little bit farther, potentially west of you, but you're in the area at least, if nothing else. And again, some heavier rainfall for Cuba. And there's your increasing rain over portions of Honduras, Nicaragua, and then the coastal areas of Belize as well. That should be picking up again starting tomorrow and especially on Friday. All right, so now let's get into, the first thing I want to do is go back out here And again, we just take a look at what's happening in the Atlantic Basin. It's a little bit more active, right? Nothing outrageous. Still want to bring on the water vapor imagery here. You're going to notice that we are still encompassed, mainly speaking, by a lot of dry air. But notice that, so this is the next kind of plume to come back in, and that's what I showed you for early next week. But notice behind that, a little bit more green, a little bit more widespread. We're beginning to thin out that dry air layer, and we're also beginning to see these tropical waves look a little bit more impressive on the satellite imagery, but also gain north latitude. It's that time of the year. Beginning in August is when we start to look off the west coast of Africa for these waves to hold together and make a run to our area. And there are signals from the models that things could be a little bit more active in those areas beginning right at the beginning of the month, but not until then. So let me show you the GFS model, and I am going to take this out to the 31st. Now, again, that's only basically, 1 week out, right? So we're not getting outrageous here. First of all, again, sloppy system, doubt that's going to organize. We're going to continue to see tropical waves impact our area with disorganized showers and storms, but still very gusty winds. I don't see anything wrapping up in the short term closer to home. We'll always have to keep an eye out for, again, decaying fronts off of the east coast of Florida and how that could play a role in trying to spin something up close. But again, looking back into the Atlantic Basin, you just start to see a little bit more holding together as we get towards the end of the month. Nothing outrageous, but beginning to hold on just a little bit better. That's the next area that I'll be watching. But again, regardless, it's going to just throw in a lot of fresh wind and some heavier rainfall and improving rain chances into our area. Now, this is the European model. Again, it has a very low end chance of trying to potentially get a tropical depression before that area moves into Louisiana or Texas. Again, we discount this area here because that's the persistent Colombian low, potentially a development area moving away from Bermuda. But then you see that down here in the MDR of the Atlantic or the Atlantic Basin, we have higher chances. Now, as you get farther west, those chances get lower. So, could we have something develop here and then, ultimately peter out because it can't hold together as it makes its journey west? It's a possibility. But, into the early couple first days of August, that's the next area to watch. Friends, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for following us across all social media. We're on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook. You want to send me a picture or video, it's mymetiomundo@gmail.com. As always, you have a specific question about the forecast, feel free to drop it in the comments section below. While you're down there, thank you so much for taking a quick second and liking and subscribing. And please remember that Meteo Mundo is sponsored by the Lean Law Firm of Central Florida. They're your hometown homeowners insurance attorneys. They offer free consultation and policy reviews. You get damage to your home, or even if you've been in an auto accident, get professional advice. LeanOnMeLaw.com is the website. Friends, have a great rest of your day. I'm back tomorrow with the latest forecast right here at Meteo Mundo.